You're listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, coming to you from the Kitchen Studios, located high atop the historic Raleigh building, located in the heart of downtown Raleigh. The NC F&B Podcast takes you behind the scenes of North Carolina's food and beverage industry. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NCFBPod. This episode is sponsored in part by Food Scene. That's foodseen.com. Providing professional photography, social media management, video production, and website design. That's Food Scene. And now, the sommeliers to the stars, the barbacks in your backyard. It is Max and Matt.
Hello, and thank you for listening to the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss, and it is Wednesday of the Not Happy Hour.
Hump Day!
Whoa, getting over it. We have a amalgam of wonderful guests, and I would say two of the top whiskey bars in the state right here in our studio.
Boom.
We have Ms. Sarah Santoro Thor swinging her hammer through the whiskey kitchen. The owner and founder, and then also the founders of Dram and Draught, your favorite neighborhood bar, Mr. Drew Schenck and Kevin Barrett in the house.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes.
We'll add applause in later.
Yeah.
Oh, please do.
You're snapping.
Matt, your voice sounds so much different in the intro. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, let me finish the intro. It might change
on.
a couple times, because then sitting back there just chilling out is Sean Patrick Tario. What up, man?
That's right, fellow podcaster over here.
That's right.
Data Centers Podcast. We'll ask Sean what that actually means.
You'll have to tune in and listen.
And Chuck Terry over here, Terrence Caulfield. Day 3.
How are we not drinking whiskey right now with all this whiskey talent in the room right now?
Yeah, I did have an old fashioned. I just switched to vodka, which is
don't you guys just carry whiskey in your in your bag?
You should have like 4 flasks
I have an
on
IV,
you.
and I just kind of
This is an impromptu episode, so I think normally, yes, I travel with at least 3 bottles.
That
you
is
know
true.
that. You know that.
On your episode, you did bring out some heavy guns, but I just want you to walk around with flasks of whiskey like that.
I left my coat in the car.
We did that this afternoon. We had some VIPs in.
Okay.
And we just had, this is a true story, like an hour ago, we had a 1945 Hill and Hill, 1967 Old Granddad. What was the
1986 Wild Turkey.
That 101, and it tasted
Old
the 101.
Granddad, 86 proof
The
from
101?
the 1980s.
Holy shit.
Hey, and I will
just what
also
you can
point
expect
out
on an average day at Dram or Draught or Whiskey Kitchen.
and we did bring a complete bar in the other room, complete with a bartender.
The cocktails we are having right now.
The illustrious Ian Murray
in the house.
is right
Your phone is
in
ringing.
the other room.
Very
Ian
popular.
Murray's handsomeness is only exceeded by the length of his arms. You ever seen that guy? He's like
That
a
was
goddamn
close.
praying mantis.
It is,
He has
yes,
the greatest,
true.
longest arms. Bartenders are jealous
Useful.
of arms like
Yeah.
that.
It's not
because-
proportional to his body.
Yeah,
It's-
he's
it's-
got some serious arms.
He is the James Harden of bartenders.
Been
Yes.
said many times
Actually-
before. Ian's at our bar making 3 cocktails that are delicious. He's got a Social House vodka drink, he's got a Lassiter rum drink, and he has a Topo whiskey drink. And they're goddamn delicious. And
They really
pretty
are.
awesome.
So
has,
good.
Has anyone had a drink here yet? Oh,
Well, actually, we all had old fashions, and I just got this, so I just kind of sinned against my whiskey roots, and went
sometimes
for
you need to branch out.
I don't know. I want to go back to this 1986 Wild Turkey 101. First of all, that's the year I was born. Isn't that what you said? Or did I miss it?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so you were born the year I graduated high school, just saying.
Ooh,
yeah, that looks about right. I can guess that.
And by the way, that's not a pickup line usually.
Usually.
But it is now.
So, yes.
But
Super creepy.
that's a very special whiskey for me. That is how my husband, Michael Thor, who is the co-owner of Whiskey Kitchen, that's how he said that he knew he was in love when I took back a double shot of Turkey 101 and didn't even flinch.
But was
He's
he
like,
mad
"This
at
is
you
it."
for taking like a shot of it? I mean,
Well,
No,
I
he
was
was
also
he was
early in the
impressed
college
and-
Oh, okay,
days,
yeah.
so I wasn't
Gotcha.
really sure how
Conservation
it was
wasn't
supposed to be sipped.
preferable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just kind of were like, I'm just
If I
going to
know
drink
Michael
it as quickly
Thor,
as
he was
possible,
impressed.
act cool, and it worked. So
Nice.
All right, so we're going to get into it with you and Michael on an extensive episode about the Whiskey Kitchen because it has to happen soon.
I'm excited to tell the story.
But aside from that, just tell us what's happening now. What is about to happen now?
Ooh, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
Well, actually, what is happening, we haven't officially announced it yet. So kind of, I guess this is more of the official announcement.
You're saying it now.
I'm saying it now. We have a late night menu. So we have now officially been able to position the kitchen to provide people food past 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. And it's delicious food, and we want everyone to come and enjoy it.
You know, I'll say it is a chef's bar room, but it kind of is. We'll gloat on you for a minute. As we talked about, as your chef is going to be the president chapter for the local PCG chapter here. We talked about it on a recent episode. But and as Max and I said, you guys throw down some serious food for being a whiskey-centric place. And not only is it for your chefs, but it's also for your families. I brought my kid there, who's 2.5 years old, and he had a good time, and the servers were really good with him, so...
Yeah,
it's for everybody.
And you can get the kids drunk.
You guys have Johnny
Barrett,
don't you?
Oh, we do.
So
We've got the
Johnny
man, the myth,
Barrett.
the legend.
Yeah, Johnny Barrett. That's right.
He's been in the scene for a while, and he's a legend for sure.
All right, well, Drew, let's switch gears a little bit. You've got a lot of conversation that's about to happen at Dram and Draught. There's so much Dram and Draught talk happening. So what's the word on the street? What are you guys about to do?
Obviously, our building is being torn down, which is going to break Kevin's...
Obviously.
Well, I say obviously. It's been in the news a little bit, which is going to break Kevin's heart because he absolutely loves it, as we all do.
Kevin, when you were talking about Dram and Draught in its infancy, the beauty about it was that it was this old, restored gas station that you reinterpreted into this beautiful, bespoke bar with all this whiskey.
Don't get him started.
So now that's going away.
And it's a perfect size. It's great.
You are no longer going to see that again.
If people in Podland could just see the look that Kevin gave Max, it would explain it all.
But Kevin, then where are you now going?
All right, so what's happening with Dram and Draught? Raleigh, yes. We just opened in Greensboro in September. Very nice reception in Greensboro. I think they were ready for us. I think they're happy that we're there. Everything's going great in Greensboro. In Raleigh, unfortunately, we have to leave the spot that we're in, but we are literally moving a few hundred yards away on the same block, so we will be catty corner to where we are now. And the one Glenwood Tower that has just been built, that everyone can see.
The sexiest building in town.
It actually doesn't look bad, especially at night when they put up those lights. Will be on the corner of Morgan and Glenwood. That is our new location. And our goal, and one of the very specific things that
Sounds very political.
I know, you running for office?
In the way you're moving.
Not yet. But stick with me. No, our new location, probably in May, maybe June, will be in the corner of Morgan and Glenwood. Right on the corner of 1 Glenwood.
You're right across the street from the hemp pharmacy, which is a really cool spot.
Well, we kind of were already across the street from there, but more importantly, we'll be across the street from the boutique hotel that's being built.
And the parking garage.
And the parking garage.
Yeah.
So we'll have a slightly bigger location.
It's a very different location because you had like this bohemian old gas station look. Now you're moving into a fancy bougie tower. Is it going to be a little?
Okay, I get you. I get what you're saying. But here's the thing: we have a great designer. His name is Stephen Martek out of Boston and Salt Lake City. Studio Tack is the name of his studio.
Nice plug for Studio Tack.
And he has designed Raleigh 1. He is designing Raleigh 2. He designed Greensboro. And he's designing Durham, which is under construction currently. We hope to be open in the summer.
Durham open in the summer. You heard it here.
You guys got a lot on your plate right now.
Hey, that's not even half of it. All right,
really
we're always venturing out to do new.
Well, thank you for making the time to chat about it on the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast.
Pleasure.
All right, we are back, and with us in studio, we have Jen Hoverstad. Everyone knows Jen Hoverstad. Welcome to the podcast.
I am thrilled to be on the podcast, finally.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've been listening for so long, I needed to come in and be on the podcast.
Well, we made dreams come true.
We do.
So, Jen, you're going to hear a lot more of Jen in upcoming episodes of the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast because you work with the Forrest firm. What do you actually do?
So I am an attorney with the Forrest firm. I practice estate planning, but we are a full-service business law firm. So from start to finish with your business, whether it's just an idea or you're ready to sell or all the other issues that come up with a business, we are there to take care of you. And so that's how the estate planning practice got brought in. It's we had business owners who were like, hey, how do I protect this for my family? So that's my side of it, but we have an attorney that can take care of everything for you with your business.
So we are the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast, and a lot of people are saying, well, why are they talking to a law firm lady? Well, first of all, let me just preface this by Jen was in-house counsel. Is that what you would say your title was? Was in-house counsel for Counterculture Coffee, which is an automatic qualifier for you to be here. So you can talk very educatedly about that. But secondly, these guys do something great for the community because they not only do a lot of pro bono work, they offer and they specify their business towards entrepreneurs and local businesses.
Exactly. Yes. We specialize in the small to medium-sized businesses, which of course that's where we see food and beverage fall into. Now, if someone is enterprise level and needs our help, we are certainly going to help them.
Sure.
But our bread and butter are the people who are starting their own businesses or have their own businesses and just have the variety of issues that come with, whether it's one employee or 500 employees, helping them manage that business. And with food and beverage, I mean, who doesn't love to help a food and beverage client? It's such a fantastic industry.
The perks are immediate and tangible.
and tasty.
And tasty.
With that said, that brings along what Matt and I have been talking about for a while. We want to get content on our show that people can sink their teeth into, that they can walk away going, oh, I actually learned something. And so how can we really raise the bar and get something that really makes more sense? And so that's why we're going to introduce a new segment on our show with Jen, and sometimes it'll be even Jen's counterparts that work with the Forrest firm. They're going to come in and talk to us about specific matters. Now, those specific matters can be things that we'll suggest, but then there also can be things that you, the listener, can suggest via our social media. And so we want to challenge everybody and think, okay, I'm starting a business. What is the thing I really don't know? Or what are the things I need to worry about, protect myself? So some ideas we were riffing on, what if you're signing a new lease and you're first-time home or first-time business owner, you don't know what you're doing.
You don't want to read a God knows how many page lease that there is with small print.
So Jen, would you be able to, not right now, but in a future episode, perhaps give us 2 or 3, 5 good bullet points as what you should be looking for in your lease?
Absolutely. What you're looking for in your lease. And then, what happens when your landlord decides to break that lease, or what happens when something comes up that you weren't expecting and it wasn't addressed in your lease. We have an amazing commercial real estate team at the Forrest firm. So, of course, we'd be happy to answer those questions. Some of my personal favorites based on my background is how do we deal with our employees? How do we handle these issues? Yeah. How do I know when to fire somebody?
Huge hot button issues at this moment.
Absolutely. And what about, how do I make sure people are safe when they come into my space? Restaurants, it's a huge thing, not only keeping your team safe, but also keeping your guests safe, because there can be so many hazards in a restaurant setting especially. So yes, all of those things we'll be able to talk about and touch on as they come up, and love the idea of people asking questions via social media. Let's answer them, because people, it's kind of those things where you have it in the back of your mind. Let's go ahead and get it out there and talk about it, so when it does happen, you know how to respond.
I love it.
Yeah. And not to mention that Forrest firm is a North Carolina born and raised firm. Anybody that's listening anywhere in the state can reach out to you guys.
Absolutely. We have 7 offices throughout North Carolina, so Wilmington to Asheville, and we also make it a point to be flexible enough where we can come to our clients. So a lot of big law firms are going to have you come to them and come into their offices, but we make it a point to equip all of our attorneys. We have about 50 attorneys right now across the state. Equip them so they can go out and truly work from anywhere. So we have a great hashtag, FF Work From Anywhere, and it is our attorneys working wherever they feel like working throughout the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, I love it.
Before we get out of here, we are going to establish some sort of landing page for you guys. So where will people be able to find that if they want to reach out to you or they need your services?
Yeah, so right now you can go to forestfirm.com, but we will create a landing page just for food and beverage podcasts, so people can come and check us out, but also see connection to the podcast and maybe pick up some things that we've talked about here on our website as well, and perhaps some freebies.
Yeah, what did we say? That
I don't know. Maybe you go to the Forest Firm's NC F&B podcast link and get like a free T-shirt.
Yeah.
I think we can make it
Forest.
happen. We can make it happen.
Which I was lucky enough for Jen to give me a free T-shirt, and I will just say that I put it on over the weekend, and my wife
swole, bro.
and not only that, but my wife said, "Oh, that's a nice color on you."
Uh-oh.
There we go. Making people look good in a Forest Firm T-shirt. I like it.
Yeah. Thanks, Jen. This is going to be awesome. I'm
I'm
really looking
excited
forward to
about
these
it.
segments.
We'll pause for a moment to talk to our restaurant people. That's right, managers, servers, bartenders, barbacks, line cooks, chefs, anyone that's touching the POS system. I gotta ask you, do you like this system your restaurant is using right now? Is it efficient? Is it easy to use? Is it intuitive? Well, I have a system that is really cool. It's called Cake by Cisco. Cake by Cisco is a point-of-sale system that integrates guest manager systems, online ordering, and of course, the point-of-sale terminal. With affordable hardware, 24/7 customer support, and transparent pricing, it's really a simple and smart way to go. Fun fact, did you know that integrating Cake's POS and guest manager products have proven to increase table turns by 6%? That's a projected revenue by up to $14,000 in a single year. Look at all these stats that I have. I know things. Well, give them a call. They'll tell you things as well, and you will be satisfied. Their number is 855-696-CAKE. Or head over to trycake.com. Or click the link in our show notes. And don't forget to let them know that the gents from the North Carolina Food and Beverage Podcast referred you. Cake by Cisco.
Fantastic.
So welcome to the podcast, Sean Patrick Tario, fellow Northern Californian.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, that's right. San Jose up in this house.
Oh, yeah.
So you also do a podcast. Please tell us the name and what it is.
The podcast name is called I Love Data Centers. And just as you focus on interviewing owners and operators and connoisseurs of the food and beverage industry, I focus on doing the same, but specifically for the data center industry. So
That would seem to be a popular topic in these parts with the
Yeah.
Research Triangle and whatnot.
Yes, it is. Many people actually don't realize that the Research Triangle Park is the original Silicon Valley.
Oh,
So
it's the Silicon Valley of the East.
Well, it was
sure.
the original Silicon Valley.
Oh, well.
The Silicon Valley is the Silicon
the
Valley of the West.
OG Silicon Valley. So the West actually stole everything that was going on here.
Ah.
Yeah.
That
What
topic.
is
Yeah.
what is a data center?
It is a large warehouse that stores all the servers, switches, and routers that run this brave new digital world that we live in today.
And you love this.
He's the guy that works with my brother.
Yes.
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 Shout out to Alex Weiss
Alex
up
Weiss,
in New
what's up,
Jersey.
buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have guests from all over the country. You do everything usually by satellite or by Skype,
All over the world.
by the world.
Yes.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Do you guys ever talk about backup generation for
Oh, yeah.
those?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cooling.
What the hell is he doing here?
Why is Sean here?
Yeah.
Sean is what we like to call in the business a connector.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the way, we did a stand-up a couple weeks ago.
Oh, really? And I wasn't there.
You weren't there. You were invited, but for the many reasons that you keep bailing out of all the invites, you didn't make it.
So I will say this. So Felicia and I met Sean. He connects people. He does these great networking parties, get-togethers, cocktails, whatever. It's always fun. It's always exciting. And you meet cool people from realms of which you would not think to meet. And in a conversation, I was saying something about how much I love comedy, and he goes, "Really? Do you ever write comedy?" And I go, "Oh yeah." And Felicia starts rolling her eyes just like the way Matt is rolling his, because everyone knows that I secretly want to be a stand-up comedian, but just can't hack it. And so
Well, Max does stand up. People sit down.
Oh wow!
You see, you say that.
I will not be here all night.
He did not slang. No slang happened. But it was great. He said, Sean said, "You want to, a bunch of buddies and I that are serious about this, we're going to do kind of like a workshop, a little comedy workshop. Come on over." So I thought, that sounds amazing. So we went into his office, high atop Raleigh's beautiful skyline, and we just talked shop about jokes. And of course, Felicia crashed the party and started making the best jokes, and it made me feel very inferior at the time. And everyone's like, well, this lady's hilarious. And so she stole the show for a long time. Bobby McFarland was there. He and I were making a good joke. We had the whole routine about...
In fact, I use his joke
I think they
as
call
my
it a
closer.
bit.
Wait,
I would love to hear Felicia's jokes.
the Boston
Felicia's jokes?
GPS guy. Oh, great. You fucking lost.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's called a bit in the industry.
It's a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Max, did you know that? You didn't know that?
I didn't know
called
that.
a bit.
It's a bit, yeah. This is not a good bit. This is horrible pod right now.
No, it's not.
Oh my God, the windows are steaming up in here because there's so much hot air being blown out.
This is wonder of editing.
But no, funny. Sean is a cool dude, and if you haven't met Sean, now you have, and you're going to see him everywhere because he's a guy that you should know.
And I'm also
And he's a
hopefully going to be
connector.
using this location for my podcast. Maybe
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
We need some listeners up in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your
let's do
rental
it.
fee?
A lot.
Aha.
An hour.
Well, guys, thanks for all that you do in this community and stepping up the whiskey game in North Carolina and the data centers of North Carolina and the connections in North Carolina. So,
We're connecting now.
That's right.
now let's get out to the
Let's
bar.
go connect to a
I want to
cocktail.
go
Yeah.
connect with a cocktail.
Hey, thank you guys for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you.
But don't go anywhere. We still have the second half of Wednesday night. This is not a happy hour. Stay tuned. Hello, and thank you for listening to the NC F&B podcast, the North Carolina Food and Beverage podcast. I am your co-host, Max Trujillo.
And I am your co-host, Matthew Weiss, and we have a bevy of stars in the room right now. And starting to my left, we have Mr. Ian Murray, the bartender, master mixologist of the night from Dram and Draught. Welcome, Mr. Murray. Yes.
Get up on that mic.
Working class bartender.
Working class bartender and SNL star. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And then
dares.
to his left, Mr. Drew Jackson of the News and Observer, writer extraordinaire. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Sarah Getsinger of Shop Local Raleigh. Welcome, Sarah.
Hey, hey.
Hey, and then our cook, chef extraordinaire for the night, from Sucre and Sel, Florence Melin. Thank you for my French accent.
Wonderful accent, yes.
Beautiful.
But for those that don't know, I do know that that means sugar and salt, so that is key ingredient, and you are a key ingredient for being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's start right there. So, Florence, you contacted us. We were all talking and chatting. You're like, how can I be a part of this? I want to be a part of this. And we're like, yeah, we want you to be a part of this. And so as we were talking about what you could do, we were talking about the name of your company, Sugar Salt, you're like, yeah, how about I do a couple of savories and a couple of sweet bites? And we thought, well, that makes all the sense in the world. So would you walk us through some of the food that you're preparing tonight?
Yeah, we did a few what we call amuse-bouche, goat cheese mousse with piment d'Espelette. It's a pimento that you can just find in France, in the southwest part of France.
Oh, yeah.
There was a homemade fig
Near the
chutney on
Dorton.
top. Actually, further south and further west.
Oh,
Yeah,
so Felicia would
really-
call that Spain, but
Basque country.
Yeah, we're not
Yeah.
going to rely on Felicia for her geography.
That was the first dish. Then,
what was the sweet dish that you had in the spoon?
Yeah.
What was that?
So that was like a reconstructed apple tatin. Apple tatin is, you've got the apple at the bottom, and then you have a crust on top, and then you flip it, and it makes it a reversed apple. Anyway, I kind of deconstructed the whole thing and say, okay, let's take the apple, take the caramel, and put a little almond shingle on top, which you call
Or like a tweel, sort of.
like a shingle.
Yeah.
That's what you have on the
Telling
roof.
you French
Yeah.
words, a tweel.
Yeah, tweel. Yeah, exactly.
So, Florence, you moved to the United States, but went to Minnesota first. Is that correct? And you were there for
Yes.
like 12 years.
Like 14.
Ugh,
Wow.
disgusting.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you found yourself in Raleigh.
Well, tell people what you do. Sucre and Sel. Are you a brick and mortar place? Are you catering? Are you?
So all I do is catering. So I'll meet my clients wherever they want me to be. At their home, at their office. I just love my food to be available to as many people as possible, and very personalized. And I like to be there. Unfortunately, they get to see me a lot because I like to set up. I like to be there to serve if they like that, to be.
Yep.
and clean up. Then I get the feedback, and I know how to do even better next time.
Oh, wait, you clean up?
Yeah, we're still waiting for you to clean it up. It's a goddamn disaster.
Wait, I mean, can I just
Yeah,
hire you for the cleanup part or not?
No,
because
you've got to do the whole thing.
You should see my station.
Yeah.
All right, let's swing it on over to cocktails.
Yeah, to the pairing.
Yeah, so Mr. Ian Murray, the longest arms in North Carolina.
I feel like I do have really long arms compared to the rest of my body.
Will you get on that, Mike?
sorry.
The aforementioned James Harden of bartending. He has really long arms.
Yeah, go ahead. Can we see your wingspan for a second?
First of all, I saw a picture of me recently shaking 2 drinks from the Fernet competition in Charlotte, and I was like, this is the most... That's what I look like when I shake, because...
Yeah. We were talking on the drive over here today about how you approach your setup at the bar, and I love that you said we're like a fine dining restaurant, but for cocktails.
Well, yeah, like I think
like in your setup, in your mise.
Well, I think like fine dining, the word is like such a bad like representation of it. I think fine dining, aka a lot of people that work in that industry, are very devoted to the industry. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to take that to the bar, like working like the bartending we do is very similar to like we've like taken that from a lot of chefs we've worked with. Because let's be real, like we're like very punk rock, dude. like Dram and Draught is very like.
Sure, we're
not
still,
the bougie like
we're still making cocktails here, folks.
Yeah.
But I guess the idea was you were saying that you're well thought out, you're meticulous about your prep, about your flavors. You do take your cocktail making serious.
Oh yeah.
Even though there might be like a encapsulated or in a fun facade, you guys are serious about making the drinks that you make.
Yeah, and I actually like that, and I don't like that because I think a lot of people, especially in this time of the cocktail industry, are like taking it a little too serious. I think we really kind of need to take back the arm garters and the curly Q mustaches and the vests and stuff, and maybe like realize like hospitality is like the biggest thing what we do for a living, you know.
But wait a minute, that beautiful beard that you had landed you on Saturday Night Live.
Oh my god!
I mean,
so embarrassing.
That handsomeness brought him there. Matt, let's get into it. Why was Ian on Saturday Night Live?
You want me to get into it?
I don't even know why I'm in on.
No, I know the story, but no, you could see his beautiful face on the most recent episode of SNL.
The Kool-Aid skit. The
Kool-Aid skit, yeah, which was like a riff off of the Gillette Toxic Masculinity recent commercial. They did a version of Kool-Aid. And you were one of many photos they showed.
Stock footage.
Every man.
Yeah.
Essentially, you were every man. And what a man he is, that beautiful beard.
Well, that is a good segue because... one of the tenets of Dram and Draught is being your neighborhood bar. It's being the best of your neighborhood bar. But like what you said, when you can go to a place that's your neighborhood bar but yet serves the best cocktails from somebody that is quote unquote fine dining classically trained, that's an awesome combination.
Yeah, and most people will know where you came from because you worked with Billy Melin at Manna for such a time out in Wilmington.
Yeah, almost 6 years I was in Wilmington. I went from Philly to Wilmington, and it was a big culture shock, but Billy and Manna and the whole crew there, like, really, I think are pushing the envelope and helped that town, like, really, like, push the food scene up, and food and cocktails both.
But we're happy to adopt you here in Raleigh.
I like Raleigh a lot.
We got to keep moving the lazy Susan around to Mr. Drew Jackson.
We are going to get back on the mic with Ian because he has a story to tell us that we were off mic discussing that we need. So remember that story and finalize it.
I have not recently been on SNL, but
Mr. Drew Jackson.
But you are really well dressed, so you're looking very appropriate.
Yeah. So Mr. Drew, you were. You have taken on the role of the food writer, the food beat of the News and Observer. Is that a fair assessment?
That's pretty much it. I write about food and restaurants and dining and all the food trends that sort of pass through our beautiful place.
This is the guy we kind of made fun of because we didn't know who he was. Hold on.
Well, he obviously lacks the vision of Jessica Banov because, she had the vision to write about us. I mean, just,
Well, but she had already done that, so he's like, I'm not going to write the same story.
Good point.
No, but the joke that we had made was that when Andrea Weigel, who had the same position or a similar position for so many years, had just kind of thrown down and was the voice of the food and beverage industry for so long here in Raleigh and in the Triangle, we said, who's the poor sap that's going to take that job?
I am that sap.
Well, it was Jessica Banov that took that job first, and then she
was only in that for a short time, actually, though.
Yeah, but she did such a great job that, like, she expanded her role and
she's
is
the
doing more.
culture editor.
Yeah. She's fantastic. She was supposed to be here tonight, by the way. Jessica, I'm a little upset. But Drew came in all, what's the term?
Guns blazing.
Full of vigor.
No, what's
Vim and vinegar?
Yeah, vim and vinegar. Sure, why not? But tell us where you came from and why you chose here.
Here, I was living in Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia.
Richmond, Virginia. Great food scene.
Is there another Richmond that people would?
Richmond's all over the
California,
country.
right? I mean, anyway, but
there's Richmond in the North Bay.
Working in newspapers, came down and doing local news features and extracurricularly eating, drinking. That's something we fell in love with in Richmond, and sort of been my outside passion for a long time. And
how many times have you been to Guar Bar?
Guar Bar? I actually used to live in that neighborhood. I never made it to Guar Bar. Wow. I have to say, but I did see the blood on the floor.
But we're friends with Brittany Anderson, former guest of the show, James Beard nominee and all. She's
Brenner Pass, and the butcher shop, Metzger's
bar, which
great.
she started, and then Brenner Pass came later, of which I ate at right before we got on the plane to go to France.
Yeah, I was there last week.
Yeah, isn't it so delicious?
Amazing. Yeah.
She does Alpine cuisine, and it's like this high elevation,
James Beard award-winning,
crazy food. It's so good.
Recognized.
Did you have the cheese cart?
No, we got the tasting menu because we just didn't want to know what was coming to us. So we did a bunch of different bites. It was just amazing. And we got the wine with that. So
nice. So fun.
Yeah, lots of wine for Switzerland.
So, Drew, did you just answer like a Craigslist job ad and said, hey, we're looking for someone that could be the next voice of the nation?
So what I did is I wrote just on spec, a description of everything that was in my refrigerator and sent it in saying, hey, I'm interested in the food job, and I don't, I'm a news reporter, at this point, but this is what I can do. And
so you were a news reporter and then got the job specifically to cover food and beverage.
I would say I did news. I was better at features, sort of slice of life kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, and so I, going out eating. That's kind of that was the dream job.
Would you have termed yourself as a foodie before you were actually officially employed as?
By the word, but
okay.
I
interested in food, restaurants, going out to...
I have to embrace it, I think. Yeah.
So let's talk food for a moment. So what is your impression of Raleigh, and where do you see this food industry moving?
So, I kind of came in right when, you have all these lists coming in, best places in the South to eat, and so it's kind of already the hotbed. I live in Durham. I feel like Durham gets kind of all the accolades, but honestly, I think Raleigh and Durham are maybe kind of on the same level, certainly.
It's kind of 1A, 1B now, depending on where
Raleigh's
you're into.
the Manhattan, Durham is the Brooklyn, if I might make a New York reference for
that
those
makes
people.
Sense. I'd say that Manhattan has a more sophisticated environment, whereas Brooklyn's a little bit more...
avant-garde.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Very different scenes, I think.
Yeah. So, so with that, what is something that you're into that's happening? It could be specific or just a general broad focus of where we're taking food and what's happening.
I think going back to what Ian was talking about, the where the cocktail scene is right now, with you guys, and I'm pretty excited about Kingfisher and where what's going on there. Mike Lee, I'm excited to see what sort of empire, how that empire fleshes out.
Cut to 20 years from now, I think we might have.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him.
A lot of Mike Lee stuff happening.
I thought you meant for Kingfisher. Cut to 20 years from now, it'll be open.
Oh, he's already famous. That's a lousy joke. No, I was saying that Mike Lee was probably going to run Durham in 20 years, but we can be hopeful that that's the case because he really knows what he's doing.
I want to add this, and Drew, I'd love to hear your reaction to this. my dad, as you know, and I talk about him on the show, he comes down and he's always raving. The restaurants you take me to, they're just, they're unbelievable. We don't have food like this in New York. And I'm like, well, Dad, it's New York, you do have food like this in New York. But then I was starting to look into it deeper, and he does speak in hyperbole at some point, but I was looking into it deeper, and I thought, what the thing is here is a lot of the chefs, especially with Raleigh Durham, are classically trained, but they've been brought up in the South, and so they have that Southern infusion and history of biscuit making and all the spices and everything, and they put that into their classic training that creates a completely different cuisine than people are used to. So it really is truly unique.
Oh my God!
Last night I took my my grandmother to Pools, because she's from Appalachian, Virginia, and I wanted her to see kind of these simple kind of dishes, recipes done in kind of a very very precious and intentional way. We had fried pork chops and we had field peas, and those field peas are things that she grew up eating as a little girl, and to see that in kind of a fine dining sort of setting, I think was a special thing, and sort of sharing my interests with hers and her
special fusion of
Well, let's
cultures.
talk. Let's before we get out of here, we got about 3.5 minutes before the music plays us off, and we'd be remiss if we didn't speak to Sarah Getsinger of Shop Local Raleigh. We know Jen, and Jen Martin. Jen's kind of been like the face of Shop Local Raleigh, at least in my mind, for so long. But Sarah, you're here tonight at the Kitchen Raleigh, which is a collection of a bunch of small businesses. So let's talk about what Shop Local Raleigh does for the community.
Yeah, sure. So it's been Jennifer for many years. I'm happy to have a team of 3 now. So it's myself, Jennifer, and Harmony. So I wear a bunch of different hats, but we're a nonprofit that supports locally owned and independent businesses within Wake County. So most people think we're just retailers and restaurants, but we also have a lot of service providers like marketing agencies and medical offices and whatnot.
And so the strength in this, you're almost creating like a union would maybe be like sometimes people look weird about that word, but in the best scenario, you're aligning a bunch of businesses together with similar thought processes or needs, let's say, to kind of unify and help create more business for each other. Is that right?
Exactly. We try and be a support system any way we can, whether it's helping share your information on social media, or we have group health insurance plans that are more affordable for those small mom and pop operations.
Can we stop right there and talk about that for a second?
Sure.
So that's a huge thing. People are talking about healthcare, which is a huge issue in the United States.
Right.
Being a part of a larger healthcare plan can be very difficult if you're an independent person, entrepreneur or so. So you become connected with Shop Local Raleigh as an independent business person, and then you are able to be pulled into the healthcare opportunities. Is that right?
Exactly. We kind of used our strength in numbers to bring all of our members together to negotiate better rates than you would be able to get as an individual.
I mean, that's just one example of something that you guys do really well. But also, like, if we were just throwing down a cool event or so, you guys are such great proponents of supporting it, not just coming here and drinking our free booze, but coming in and telling the word, which is really cool. And so if you guys, anybody that has a restaurant in town or a business, small business, if you haven't jumped on to Shop Local Raleigh yet, you really should. They do a great job, and they will help you. So... yeah. What do you think about the food industry in this area?
Oh, I love it. I've been in it for many years, and this is my first job outside of the hospitality industry, so it's nice to still go and visit a lot of friends that are still behind the bars and tableside.
Exactly. Well, we're going to get out of here soon. Matthew?
Well, we're going to have Ian Murray back, because there's some stories that he needs to tell here, so...
Some are really lockjawed, though.
We'll get him out of you, Barbara Walters
Give
style.
me a couple more beers.
Yeah.
Come to the Kitchen Raleigh.
Yeah.
You will eat and drink very merrily.
We still have 2 more nights. Thursday and Friday to go.
Thanks for listening to the NC F&B podcast. And if you've stuck with us this long, review us on iTunes, and remember, 5 stars are encouraged.